This tutorial is for first grade, Module 6, Lesson 10. In this lesson, we're going to be adding multiples of 10 and showing it in a variety of ways. We'll be using pictures, number bonds, and number sentences. So you can see in the first problem that we have bags of items, maybe marbles, and there are 10 in each bag. So I have broken the picture into 3 groups of 10 and 2 groups of 10. So I have my 3 groups of 10, which would be 30, and my 2 groups of 10, which would be 20. So those are the parts on my number bond. The whole would be 50. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That means that 30 plus 20 equals 50. Looking at my next picture, I have 3 boxes of crayons. There's 10 in each box. That would be a total of 30. Then below it, I have 4 boxes of 10. That would be 40. If I combine the two of them, 30 plus 40 is 70. I can use my single-digit basic fact to help me. If 3 plus 4 is 7, then 30 plus 40 would be 70, because 3 groups of 10 plus 4 groups of 10 would be 7 groups of 10, which is 70. And the number sentence then would be 30 plus 40 equals 70. The next section is showing subtraction of groups of 10. I'm still going to start with my whole. So I'm going to count how many 10 sticks I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 sticks. Well, 8 groups of 10 would be 80, so that's still my total. Then I'm going to break my number bond into the part that we kept and the part that we crossed off. So we kept 5 sticks of 10, which would be 50, and we crossed off 3 sticks of 10, which would be 30. So we started with 80, we subtracted or crossed off 30, and that means we were left with 5 groups, or 50. That means 80 minus 30 equals 50. We'll do the same thing for the next problem. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sticks. That would be 9 groups of 10, or 90. We have 7 groups that are still whole. That would be 70. And then 2 groups of 10, or 20, that we crossed off. So if I start with 90, and I cross off or subtract 20, I get 7 sticks, or 7 groups of 10 left over. That means that 90 minus 20 equals 70. We're going to follow the same process here, but instead of using 10 sticks, we're going to use dimes, since each dime is worth 10 cents. Looking here, I have 4 dimes, and to that I added 2 more dimes. So I have 4 dimes, which would be 40, 4 groups of 10, and I'm adding 2 dimes, which would be 20, for a total of 6 dimes, or 60 cents. In problem 7, I'm going to subtract some dimes. So let's see how many we have to begin with. I've got 6 dimes to start with. Well, 6 groups of 10 would be 60. And then I crossed off 2 dimes, which would be 10 each. So I'm subtracting 20. And I'm left with 4 dimes, or 4 groups of 10, which would be 40. 60 minus 20 equals 40. And finally, we'll work through the same process using just numbers and no pictures. The first problem says 40 plus 40. Well, I have 4 groups of 10 plus another 4 groups of 10, which would be 8 groups of 10, or 80. Going across, I'm going to start with 50, or 5 groups of 10. I'll subtract 30, or 3 groups of 10, and that leaves me with 2 groups of 10, which is 20. Next, I started with 1 group of 10. I added some more 10s, and I got 70. Well, 1 plus 6 would give me 7, so 10, 1 group of 10, plus 6 groups of 10 would give me 7 groups of 10. 10 plus 60 equals 70. Next, I have a subtraction problem. I'm starting with 60, or 6 groups of 10. I'm going to subtract some of them, so I have 0 groups left over. Well, if I'm starting with 60, I would have to subtract 60 to have 0 groups left over. Next, I'm starting with 90, or 9 groups of 10. I'm going to subtract some groups of 10 until I have just 10 left over. Well, if I subtract 8 groups of 10, or 80, that would give me 1 group of 10 left over. And again, I can use my basic facts to help me. 9 ones minus 8 ones would leave me 1. So 9 tens minus 8 tens would leave me 1 10. And finally, I have the number 70. I'm going to add some tens to it until I get the number 90. Well, if I think in terms of ones, 7 ones plus 2 ones would get me to 9 ones. So 7 groups of 10 plus 2 groups of 10 would get me to 90. 70 plus 20 equals 90. So we can use those basic facts and our knowledge of groups of 10 to help us solve these problems.